Ave Maria, and welcome to this episode of Booklog. Today we're going to have a look at this book here, Devotion to Mary by Father Emile Neubert. And this is published by the Academy of the Immaculate, and it's the second in a series of Father Neubert's books issued by the Academy. Father Neubert intended this book as a follow-up to his previous popular book, My Ideal Jesus, Son of Mary. And as Father Neubert himself says in the preface to this book here, he wanted books that would be simple enough to be understood by non-specialists, but substantial enough to serve as a foundation for an enlightened piety. For only an enlightened piety is fully solid and fruitful. So let's take a look at some excerpts from the book. Part 1 of the book deals with the nature and bases of devotion to Mary. In the first 2 chapters, Father Neubert begins by defining some technical terms for us, words such as cultus, latria, dulia, hyperdulia, devotion. And this gets us off on a sound footing for understanding what is a true devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. In addressing the spiritual maternity of the Blessed Virgin, Father Neubert writes, "On Calvary, Mary gave birth to us. It was on Calvary that our redemption was accomplished, and that, through his death, Jesus merited the grace for us to live his life. But it was in union with Mary that Christ accomplished this work. She had conceived him as victim. She had nourished and brought him up in view of that sacrifice, and at the supreme moment, she offered him to the Father for our salvation. And she, ever virgin, who had known only joy in the birth of her firstborn, gave birth to us in pain and anguish." In part 2 of the book, the topics are included under the heading Importance of Devotion to Mary. And the topics addressed in chapter 1 include the usefulness of devotion to Mary for our salvation, and the usefulness of devotion to Mary for our sanctification. The section dealing with salvation begins by quoting a popular expression of St. Anselm, "The servant of Mary will not perish." But Father Neubert then goes on to explain that certain conditions apply, such as an active devotion and a devotion practiced with a right intention. He also writes, "Devotion to Mary should not serve as a license to indolence, and is not at all intended to replace the ordinary means of salvation." In this chapter, Father Neubert counsels the sinner. One can pray to Mary for the grace to escape from sin. An unhappy person bemoans his numerous falls. He would be happy to be freed from his bad habits, to feel himself strong when assailed by his passions. But he is so weak, and the temptations are so strong. He would like to, but he cannot say, "I will." But now he has recourse to the good Virgin. He begs her to give him a more energetic and more persevering will. His devotion is evidently good, and if he remains faithful, his Heavenly Mother will obtain for him the grace of conversion and of eternal salvation. For others, Father Neubert counsels, one can pray to Mary in order to persevere in good. A faithful person, not merely content to honour the Blessed Virgin by some practices of piety and avoidance of sin, seeks her help to imitate her virtues still more. For this faithful person, devotion to Mary above all will be a sure guarantee of salvation. Part 3 of the book deals with the practice of filial devotion to Mary. The chapters in this part include knowledge of Mary, love of Mary, obedience to Mary, and honouring Mary. In the chapter entitled Trust in Mary, Father Neubert writes, "Mary, having cooperated with Jesus on earth in the acquisition of all graces, he decided that she should cooperate with him in heaven in their distribution, and that he would never give any grace to any human being unless through her. So when Mary asks him for a gift for one of her devotees, she is not soliciting a favour as the other saints do. She is exercising a function which Jesus himself has confided to her. Why would Jesus have confided it to her, if not that she might exercise it, and do so with a perfection worthy of him and of her. In a chapter entitled Life of Union with Mary, Father Neubert considers the union of Jesus with his mother, including union of thought, union of feelings, union of wills and action. Father Neubert writes, "It is that union between Jesus and Mary that we are called to reproduce. Anyone who neglects union with Mary easily loses sight of his other duties towards her, so it is very important to make constant progress in that union." And then Father Neubert goes on to explain in detail how we can make progress in such a union. So this little book, it's 230 pages, and it's an easy to read book. It's a popular style, and it treats of a foundation of a sound Marian doctrine, and it's suitable for priests and lay people. So thank you for listening again, and let's close with a prayer that's quoted at the end of the book. May the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be glorified in all places, through the Immaculate Virgin Mary.